Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to Granny B's house. Gosh, it seems like a long time since I've welcomed you to my house. Granny B took the summer off, and now it's time for school to start again. So, Granny B's going to be taping some books to read. Oh, and it looks like Ed the cat wants to be a part of this today, but we'll see. I need to ask you, have you been remembering to be kind to the people around you? Oh, I hope so. And what about all those little things you can do to make the world a better place? Have you been remembering to do those too? Sure you have. Ah, Granny B's friends like to make the world a better place. Well, I have a book to read today. It's a very sweet book. It's called Rosie's Roses. And this is a fun book about, whoops, here comes Ed to say hello. Say hello, Ed, before we get our book started. He just wants to be a part of everything. All right, I'm going to move out of the way so you can see this book. It has some very nice pictures in it. Rosie's Roses is written by Pamela Duncan Edwards and illustrated by Henry Cole. Let's hear about these roses. Can you see that? Well, let's see. How about there? It was Aunt Ruth's birthday. Rosie had 4 roses for Aunt Ruth's present. Carry your roses carefully, warned her big brother Robert as he tied a rainbow rose around them. Rosie and Robert hadn't rambled far when Rosie frowned. "This is weird," she said. "My orange rose has disappeared." "Perhaps you dropped your rose near that rotted log," said Robert. "I'm sure I saw Mr. Rat dragging something orange away." "That rodent is a rogue," cried Rosie, "and he'd better return my rose right away." "It must be rough being a rat," remarked Robert. "Rats live in very dreary places." "Really?" said Rosie. "It is dark and grungy down there," she agreed. "But Mr. Rat has put my orange rose in a jar. His room looks brighter already." Rosie thought hard. "All right, Mr. Rat," she called. "My orange rose is yours. The perfume will make your room smell fresh." Wasn't that a very kind thing for Rosie to do? "Now I've only got 3 roses tied with a rainbow ribbon for Aunt Ruth," fretted Rosie. Robert rumpled Rosie's hair. "Come on, let's run after dragonflies," he said. Rosie and Robert ran through the grass. "I love the way dragonflies dart around," she cried. Suddenly, Rosie groaned. "This is crazy," she said. "My purple rose has disappeared." "Don't cry," said Robert. "I think you dropped your rose by that rock. I saw Mr. Rabbit rush into his warren with something purple." "Mr. Rabbit's a rapscallion," protested Rosie. "He'd better return my rose right away." "There's a terrible racket coming from down Mr. Rabbit's hole," remarked Robert. "Really?" said Rosie. "Rowdy rabbit children are romping everywhere," she reported. Mrs. Rabbit looked frazzled. "But Mr. Rabbit is presenting her with my rose." Rosie thought hard. "All right, Mr. Rabbit," she called. "My purple rose is yours to help Mrs. Rabbit relax." Again, an act of kindness from Rosie. Oh, did that make Mrs. Rabbit's day a lot better? Now, I've only got 2 roses tied with a rainbow ribbon for Aunt Ruth's present, said Rosie. Do stop worrying, and I'll race you to that redbud tree, replied Robert. Right, called Rosie, and off she ran. Suddenly, Rosie rubbed her eyes. This is ridiculous, she wailed. My red rose has disappeared. Dry your tears, Rosie, said Robert. I think you dropped your rose near the roots of the tree. I saw Mrs. Robin carrying something red up to her nest. Mrs. Robin's a rascal, roared Rosie. She better return my rose right away. I heard a rumor that Mr. Robin has raging strep throat, said Robert. He's had to resign from the bird chorus. Really? Said Rosie. Mr. Robin has a scarf around his throat, she declared. Mrs. Robin is nursing him with raspberry syrup. Rosie thought hard. All right, Mrs. Robin, she called. My red rose is yours. It will cheer up Mr. Robin. I hope his raspy throat recovers soon. Another act of kindness. Are you taking notes? Are you remembering how easy it is to make someone else's day brighter? Rosie's doing just that. Now I've only got 1 rose tied with a rainbow ribbon for Aunt Ruth's present, said Rosie. Poor Rosie, said Robert. Stop fretting, and I'll teach you how to turn cartwheels. Ooh, let me try, cried Rosie. Bravo, called Robert. You're a razzle-dazzle cartwheel star. Really, panted Rosie. Robert, whispered Rosie, there's a squirrel bride sitting in the ragweed over there, and she's crying. I'm marrying my true love this morning, sobbed the squirrel bride, but I forgot to make a garland for my hair. Rosie thought hard. Let's use strands of grass and my cream rose. Miss Squirrel, she said, they'll make a pretty garland together. Now, I've only got a rainbow ribbon to give Aunt Ruth. Aunt Ruth will adore your rainbow ribbon, reassured Robert as Rosie rang the doorbell. Aunt Ruth, cried Rosie, I had 4 roses for your birthday, but Mr. Rat, Mr. Rabbit, Mrs. Robin, and Miss Squirrel needed them. Now I've only got a rainbow ribbon for you. Rosie, I already have a rose, responded Aunt Ruth. Where is it, Aunt Ruth? Asked Rosie in surprise. Right in front of me, said Aunt Ruth. You're my prize rose, Rosie. Oh, said Rosie, really? Really, said Aunt Ruth, and she tied that rainbow ribbon in Rosie's hair. I think she did that because Rosie was being so kind to all the other animals. And oh, just those simple things she did made the day better for 5 people. Yeah, so let's remember that. Just little things we can do to make someone else's day better. Well, I want you to remember also that Granny Bee loves you. And Granny Bee wants you to come out and see me again sometime on this YouTube channel or Facebook page, wherever you're watching this video. But just remember, I'll read you another story, okay? Bye-bye.